So next to me is the 2024 Nissan Ariya. I've had this for about a week to test out, and this electric crossover is actually pretty cool. There are some quirky, weird aspects to it, but overall, this is one of the better driving electric crossovers that I've been in. This one is $50,000, finished in the Boulder Gray. It's the Empower Plus front wheel drive. These things start at $40,000 and only top out at $60,000. Now, Nissan is targeting the Ariya as more of a luxurious car than your typical run-of-the-mill crossover. So it seems like they have a lot going for this, especially with the materials you get, the way it drives, and just the simplicity and the classiness of this interior. Now, the Ariya is fully electric with an 87 kilowatt hour battery and 178 kilowatt motor. This car also pumps out 238 horsepower with 221 pound-feet of torque, and the range is about 289 miles. Styling is also pretty unique with the Ariya. Obviously, it is electric, so there's no real grille. There is an opening down below to allow some cooling to some of the electronics. However, this is basically a clear plastic with a textured plastic behind it. You have an illuminated Nissan logo, and I really like just how smooth and seamless everything is. We have LED headlights with a massive daytime running light in them, and the gloss black really finishes it off well with this two-tone look. Side profile is pretty cool. It kind of looks like a shorter and stubbier design of a crossover. My favorite thing are the fender arches. They somewhat give it a wide body appearance. They protrude outwards a little bit, especially up in front, and I think really makes it look a little bit more sporty. This one, Boulder Gray with the black diamond for the roof. So you have the really cool two-tone appearance. I like the little bit of polished color for the window trim. And then just once again, blacked out design. Cool set of 19-inch wheels as well with this very aerodynamic spoke design, which is just gonna give this a very seamless, streamlined performance through the air. And then in back, it looks about what you would expect, more of the gloss black trim. I really like how the roof is super sloping into this rear end. Nice integrated spoiler, your badging, Nissan logo in the massive LED bar. And then for cargo area, pressing the button, we have a power operated liftgate. And with the back seats up, you have 22.8 cubic feet of cargo space, and it's super easy to fold them down, and that bumps it up to 59.7 cubic feet back here. One thing I like, this floor, you can actually lift up and remove these panels, and you have a hidden storage area all underneath the floor panel, which is a really cool design, gives it a good extra amount of space. There's cubbies on the right and left side as well, and honestly, pretty practical car. It's not really all too high, so pretty easy to load items in here. Sitting in back of the Ariya, it's a pretty roomy crossover. At 5'11", I have good knee room and foot room with the driver's seat at my height. Plenty of headroom, about an inch or so. And then this can seat 3 people back here. You even have an armrest and 2 cup holders. There are some good amenities. You have climate control vents, heated seats, 2 different USB ports, massive panoramic roof up on top as well to let a lot of light in here. Moving on to the driver's seat area in the Nissan Ariya, there's a few things I'm not the biggest fan of. Let's start off with the first one. When you go ahead and fire it up, on the gauge cluster in the center, after of course the car does its animation when you turn it on, it will pop up on the screen saying to check the rear seats, and it will stay there for like a minute. It's kind of annoying. You have to hit OK to where that goes away. So that is kind of annoying. You can't really see half of the gauge cluster with that on until you physically hit OK or let it time out. On top of that, climate controls. A lot of modern cars are going to where everything is in the screen, which isn't the most easy thing to do. At least this one does give you controls down here. You have fan speed as well as temperature. My thing is they are integrated seamlessly onto this plastic trim. Kind of looks like wood, has a cool look. However, while driving, it's kind of hard to press them at the perfect spot. There's not really much tactile feedback. It does vibrate when you press it, but you really have to take your eyes off the road, find it, and sometimes you're hitting where it isn't and you're just smashing your fingers into hard plastic. So I'm not the biggest fan. I wouldn't mind a nice little dial like you have for volume. Next up is the center console right here. You press this and hold it to open that, which is a little unnecessary. It's a nice storage area. However, once again, you have to press kind of hard on this plastic, which kind of hurts your fingertips, just hard pressing onto that. A little unnecessary, I think. Next up is the center console, moving forwards and back. Honestly, I don't really see the point why this does this. All it really is going to do is move your armrest out of your way, depending on how tall you are. It does give you a little bit easier access into here, and the rear seat passengers have easier access to their controls. But I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing that didn't really need to be there. But those are kind of my only complaints. Mine are little nitpicky things. Next up, kind of interesting, is the steering wheel, which I really like with the leather material. A lot of sports cars will have a stripe up on top. This one has a stripe on the bottom. Obviously, this is probably not the typical vehicle a sports car owner is going to buy, but you have the stripe on the bottom just to add to the style of it, not really giving you that 12 o'clock look like in a sports car, but kind of neat to see. Being a two-spoke though, gives you a really comfortable position for your hands. You can see that massive panoramic roof. We also have the camera up here for your rear view mirror. And then as far as the screen goes, this is the newest Nissan infotainment screen. Really nice to look at, over a 12-inch screen, and you have really large tiles to make it pretty easy and user-friendly to operate. Same with the gauge cluster overall. You have quite a lot of information in it and pretty much everything you're gonna need in a car. Sitting here, this is a very comfortable car. You have so much space right here for your feet, and these seats really do their job nicely. And use of materials, you know, this car is kind of supposed to be somewhat of a luxury car, and you can kind of tell it's a nice place to be with a really good comfort. So driving the Nissan Ariya, some things to note about it. This one isn't particularly the most powerful one. You know, this is the mid-level. Basically, you can get more power. If we go into the sport mode, which I'm already in, full throttling it from 45 miles an hour and 60. It's peppy, it's quick enough. Obviously, it's not fast from a standstill. It's zippy, you know, it'll get to like 30 without really thinking, and then up to 40, 50, 60, kind of like your typical car. So it's well powered for a more middle of the road lineup, in their lineup, and not really too bad. Things I do like, I really like the steering wheel. While it's silly to have the stripe down here versus up here, given I'm used to sports cars, the flat bottom, the two-spoke, makes it so comfortable to just kind of hold the steering wheel like this and just kind of sit back and relax. Now, the armrests feel a little lopsided. This one in the center is taller than the one on the door, so I feel a little crooked sitting here like this. It's kind of interesting. Nonetheless, though, they're nice and padded. The seats are nice and padded, so it's truly a nice place to be. And I think that's one of the biggest things with the Ariya. It's a smooth car, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it is very practical, and you do have a lot of tech and a lot of features to where 50 grand for this seems like a really good price point. This is right in the middle of the lineup, and I feel like you kind of get everything that you need. I don't really see the point of getting anything more expensive in this aside from more power and all-wheel drive. Getting up to speed from a slower speed, still in sport mode, like there's not really any acceleration right now. We're full throttle. So it's all right. But anyway, normal people probably don't really care. This will be plenty powerful enough. Like I mentioned earlier, the interesting over-engineered aspects to this car are a little pointless. Like, you kind of have to look off of the road and really find that button to open this. So something like that, I think a handle would have been perfectly fine for that. And then the moving console, I don't really see the point. So there's a few little gimmicky things. These buttons, they kind of have a learning curve, and I feel like you don't really even need to press them hard. You just kind of tap them. But for me as a driver, I feel like I'm taking my eyes off the road a lot to find the button and to tap it. And then if I need to do it quickly, like that actually didn't do a single thing. We're still at 67 degrees. So again, just some things could be a little bit easier. However, at least they have them there without having to go into the screen. Other things I've noticed with this car over the last week, nothing really stands out as anything crazy. So a few little gimmicky things that are a little awkward, I would say, in the car. Aside from that, though, the fact that this is a smooth to drive car, it's nice. It has basically everything that you're going to need. I don't think that's really a complaint. And I have about 140 miles of range left at half battery. So I'm getting a little bit better range, even with my driving, than what they're rating this car to get. So I'm getting closer to 300, which isn't too bad. Charging wise, it's really not all that bad either. Like any typical electric car, you know, overnight plugged into a 3-prong, you're gonna get a good 50 miles. If you have level 2 charging, of course, you'll be charged up overnight, no big deal. So it's an easy car to live with, I think, if you're looking for the electric car. And I think the styling, the fit and finish and everything is really what you would expect. It's just a simple, clean, nice car, I think, at the end of the day. A few little gimmicky, quirky things, but other than that, I think this is one of the better electric cars that should definitely be on your list, especially knowing you can get one for 40 grand. That's pretty cheap. That is below the average price of a new car, and it's a full EV. So not bad if you're looking for that sort of thing. And I've been enjoying driving. It's an easy car to zip around town, and it's been pretty fun. So those are my overall thoughts with the 2024 Nissan Ariya. To be honest, I think this is one of the better electric crossovers. It does have somewhat of that luxury feeling to it, the way it drives. It is a smooth vehicle to be in. It's a nice place to be, plenty of amenities, technology, And overall, I think it looks really cool. I think it's got a cool style to it. It looks futuristic. It's got that modern design. And I like how there's a nice wide $20,000 spectrum of trim levels. Personally, I'd go all-wheel drive and the fastest trim level available just because I want the power, but even a mid-level for 50 grand, I feel like you get quite a lot of bang for the buck. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, taking a look at the 2024 Nissan Ariya, the Empower Plus front-wheel drive. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.